Hello, everyone. This is Sanjo Chan of the Sentakome podcast, and this is my very first interview with Eric Stuart, who's voiced many roles, such as Brock in Pokemon, and he also has a band called Eric Stuart Band. And he's here today to give a little one-on-one interview. And I'll start by having Mr. Stuart introduce himself.
Hello, everybody. It's Eric Stuart, and yes, as you heard, the voice of Brock, James, Kaiba, and various other crazy characters that sometimes I don't even remember doing, and it's great to be here.
All right. So you said earlier that you haven't attended many conventions. Do you enjoy conventions, or would you like to attend more, or due to your busy schedule?
Well, it started off because of my busy schedule. I've got to say that I felt like a lot of the conventions required a lot of traveling. There were some in the New York area, but most of them were outside of the area, and my schedule was just too crazy. But now, and I did one convention in New York right after 9/11. I felt like it was something I wanted to be part of, help bring back sort of lower Manhattan after that. But this was in Nashville, and I said, it would be silly to have a convention that's going on in Nashville where I live 15 minutes away and I'm not part of. I'll give it a shot, and I've got to say this is fantastic. I mean, the people here have been great, the staff, everyone, the fans. I have a little bit of a phobia about being in big crowds. I can play in front of them when I'm playing my music, but I don't like to be surrounded by a lot of people. It gets me a little claustrophobic, so I think that probably kept me away a little bit, but everyone's given me some space, so that's good.
Right. How long have you been living in Nashville?
3 years.
All right. And which came first? Did you start your band? How do you became interested in voice acting?
I was a musician first. I was a singer-songwriter long before I was a voice actor. Probably 10 years before I was a voice actor. And then I took a job in a recording studio thinking that I was going to be an intern working in a recording studio that had to do with music. But it actually had to do with voiceovers, commercials, and radio commercials that had nothing to do with music, really. And I learned that was an actual business. So I started as the coffee boy, as the casting director, worked my way up to being a producer, and then as I was directing people, I sometimes had to go into the booth and read lines with them for auditions. And I started to get booked for things. And then I realized that people wanted to hire me for my voice work. And gradually I started to audition for other things, and it led to the cartoon and anime work, and it's sort of like I stepped in it. It became something I then became very well known for, and I started to really enjoy.
Right. Your band.
The Eric Stuart Band.
Yes.
That's easy to remember.
It's the Eric Stuart Band. You started before voice acting, or like in between?
Well, while I started voice acting, I was still playing music, and I was touring, and I was going around the country, and actually it was convenient to be a voice actor and a musician on the road, because basically anywhere I needed to find, I could find a studio in any major city. I didn't have to be there; I could just record it. So that was helpful, and especially when I was working on Pokemon, I was on the road one summer for almost 3.5 months, and the production company was very kind to let me take a break. I would record a lot of things ahead of time, be on the road, then come home and record a whole bunch of things to catch up. It was very kind of them to do that.
Right. So your first role in anime was Brock, right?
No, my first major role was Gourry from Slayers.
Oh yeah, Gourry. And you continue on to Brock
and James, yep. And then that led to many. That was my main work for a long time. Once people knew that I did Brock and James, it led to other cartoons.
So your popular shows that you do, Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh.
Right.
Which one are your favorites that you?
I liked Pokemon for the humor, and I liked Yu-Gi-Oh for the drama. Both things are part of me. I'm very much like Kaiba when I can be mean and stuff like that, and I'm very much like Brock and James. Chasing after girls as a young man, I can relate to that, and also being comedically silly like James. That was something too that I could relate to.
All right. For the Yu-Gi-Oh fan base. There's a series on the internet called Yu-Gi-Oh Bridge.
Yes, I know it well.
What's your opinion of it?
It's fun. I mean, anytime that, parody and stuff like that, satire, that's flattery. It's funny. There's some funny lines. I said one today. Screw the rules, I have money. I mean, that's just funny.
Yeah, all right. So you enjoy Oates so far, and would encourage you to come to conventions around the area in the future?
Yeah, I've already signed up to do a couple of things in the future. I think that being here at MTAC was a good first big one for me because, of course, now I'm going to hold everything up to this level in terms of the way I was treated and how everything went. It just was cool, and it was cool to see the characters too. People in costume that the voice, for the characters that I voice. That's neat.
So, Anthony, you have a lot of representation for Pokemon here, so you won't welcome.
Yeah, that was good. That was very nice.
Yeah, and personally, I enjoy your role as Brock and James.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And Yu-Gi-Oh, I don't know much about myself.
That's okay.
So it's a pleasure to meet you.
You too.
I got a few character, and not many of my favorite voice actors come to conventions, and you're the first.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So any last words of tips or greetings?
I would just say that the other nice thing that I found about being in a convention like this is I just think everybody is so nice to each other. There's a great supportive atmosphere. People get to really just be themselves and express themselves in fun ways, and it just seems everyone seems to be getting along, and it's almost like an example of the way I wish the world would. Yes. All right. Well, thank you for this.
You're welcome.
All right.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
You too. Thank you.